Countless hours of planning and preparation have brought you here.
Okay, so there's a brand new team coming to Formula One, and that's always a huge deal. But for Cadillac, their very first big decision could be the one that either launches them into a decade of success or stops them cold before a single tire even hits the track. Let's break down the massive choice that could define their entire future.
I mean, that's really the big question, isn't it? How do you actually build a winning Formula One team completely from scratch? It's like a billion-dollar puzzle, and every single piece has to fit perfectly, starting with the two most important people in the whole organization.
And believe me, the clock is ticking. Cadillac, with all the power of General Motors behind them, is aiming to be on the grid in 2026. Now that might sound like it's a ways off, but in F1 time, that's just around the corner. The pressure is absolutely on.
Look, forget about the shiny new factory for a second. Forget about the engine. The very first, and you could argue the most critical, decision that's going to shape this team's path is who they decide to put in the cockpit. This choice is the foundation for absolutely everything else.
Okay, so for any new team jumping into what is basically the F1 Piranha Club, there's a path that's been walked many times before. You don't take wild gambles. You hire drivers who've been there, done that, and who can steer the ship through the rough waters that are definitely coming early on.
And because of that whole play it safe idea, Cadillac's arrival is already sending ripples through the driver market. The rumor mill is just churning, and according to a bunch of sources, two very familiar, very experienced names keep popping up.
So on one hand, you've got Sergio Pérez, a proven race winner, and on the other, you have Valtteri Bottas, another guy with a ton of wins and years of experience at a championship-winning team. I mean, on paper, this looks like an absolute dream team for a brand new outfit.
And this makes total sense, right? What you need is a development driver. You need someone who can get into a brand new, and let's be honest, probably difficult car and tell the engineers exactly what it's doing so they can make it faster. Both Pérez and Bottas are masters at this, which makes them seem like the logical, the safe, the smart choice.
But here's the thing. What if that perfectly safe, super logical move is actually a trap? What if the conventional wisdom is just flat out wrong here? This is where things get really interesting.
I mean, look, choosing one of them? Totally fine. A solid, understandable move. But signing both Pérez and Bottas to lead the team, well, that's a completely different story.
And this is the core argument from our source material. It's not pulling any punches, stating that if General Motors signs both of these veteran drivers, they would be making a huge mistake. Wow, that's a pretty powerful claim. So what's the logic behind it? And you're probably thinking, wait, how is that a mistake? How could having two super experienced, super competent drivers possibly be a bad thing? Isn't that exactly what a new team needs? Well, the argument is all about looking beyond just that first year. Because a new team isn't just building a car for next season, they're trying to build a future. The thinking here is, you need a driver who's going to grow with the team. You need someone to build the entire project around. Someone who can lead it not just in 2026, but in 2030 and beyond. An all-veteran lineup just doesn't have a path for that kind of growth. All right, so if two veterans is the huge mistake, what's the solution? Well, the source proposes a very specific alternative, a young driver who's been right on the edge of getting an F1 seat for years, Felipe Drugovich.
And what's really interesting here isn't just that he's a good driver. I mean, yes, he's fast, he's a former F2 champion, but the crucial part is his time as a test and reserve driver over at Aston Martin. He's proven he's incredibly useful in car development. You add in the public attention he could bring, and suddenly he's ticking a whole lot of boxes.
So the big idea here isn't to just ditch experience altogether. No. It's about creating the perfect blend. You pair a veteran like a Bottas or a Pérez with a future star like Drugovich. One driver gives you that crucial initial guidance, and the other one carries the team forward into its future. And that right there shows you we're not just talking about picking drivers anymore. This choice is about the fundamental identity of the Cadillac Formula One team. Who do they actually want to be?
This table really breaks it down, right? The veteran pair, that's a short-term focus, but you're risking future stagnation when they eventually retire. The hybrid model, the experience plus the rookie, it's got a steeper learning curve at the start, for sure, but it's a clear investment in the team's long-term potential.
So when you boil it all down, this isn't just about who's in the car. It's a statement of philosophy. It's a statement of intent. Is Cadillac here just to be a respectable team for a few years, or are they building a project that actually wants to fight for world championships someday? Their driver lineup is going to be our first real clue.
So as Cadillac gets ready to make its first huge move, the choice is pretty clear.
Do they go for the immediate safety that experience brings, or do they make a much bolder bet on a young driver who could become the face of this team for the next decade? Their entire F1 future might just be riding on this one single decision.